Good day, everyone. By the way, this is Shane Sapalaran. I was assigned to discuss what is neo-behaviorism. When I say neo-behaviorism, a school of thought that emerged in the early 20th century, sought to bridge the gap between the traditional behaviorism and the cognitive psychology. While it retained the focus on observable behavior, it also acknowledged the role of internal mental processes in shaping behavior. This approach led to a unique philosophical perspective on nature of values, reality, and knowledge, which will be explored in the following slides. Before we proceed with the proper discussion, let's have an overview. First, we will discuss person behind neo-behaviorism, which is Albert Bandura. The axiology, the value of agency and self-efficacy. Ontology, the theoretic reciprocal determinism. Epistemology, knowledge through observation and cognitive processes. Methodology, and the last one, the application and contribution. First, let's discuss who is Albert Bandura. Bandura was born on December 4, 1925 in Mandar, a small town on the plains of northern Alberta. He grew up the only boy in a family of five older sisters. Since we all know that Bandura's family are immigrants in America or in US, Bandura was encouraged by his sister to be independent and self-reliant. He also learned self-directiveness in the town's tiny school, which had few teachers and little resources. After graduating from school, Bandura spent the summer in the Yukon working on Alaska Highway. His decision become psychologist was quite accidental, like other psychologists, but he became the most published psychologist of all time. And then let's proceed about learning according to Albert Bandura. And learning, one of the earliest and most basic assumption of Bandura's social cognitive theory, is that humans are quite flexible and capable of learning a multitude of attitudes, skills, and behaviors, and that a good bit of those learning are a result of vicarious learning. While he agreed with Skinner that we learn via our own experience, pero sinabi din niya, or he said that this is an inefficient way to learn and would not explain the past cognitive and social development that happened to humanity. Because according to Bandura, he stated that if knowledge could be acquired only through the effects of one's own action, the process of cognitive and social development would be greatly retarded, not to maintain exceedingly tedious. And that's learning for Albert Bandura. And also observational learning. Banduras believe that observation allow people to learn without performing any behavior. People can learn, for example, by observing models being reinforced. And Bandura believes that observational learning is much more efficient than learning through direct experience. By observing other people or humans are spared countless responses that might be followed by punish or by no reinforcement. No? According nga kay Bandura, a good man learn from his mistake, but a wise man learn from others' mistake. And for him, no, ito sa mga kinontribute niya about learning is modeling. Now, learning through modeling involves adding and subtracting from observed behavior and generalize from one observation to another. In other words, modeling involves cognitive processes and not simply mimicry or imitations. And that process is our process of governing observational learning is attention, of course. Very important, the attention in observing. Then next, the representation. And then behavioral production. This is the time you ask, how can I do this? What am I doing? Am I doing this right? And the last one, of course, the motivation. Do I really need to do this? To explain more, to elaborate more, let's watch his Bubudal experiment.
The segment you're about to see is taken from an early experiment on learning of aggressive styles of behavior through modeling. Children watched a filmed adult perform novel aggressive acts toward a inflated doll, and the physical aggression was accompanied by novel hostile remarks. We later measured how much of this modeled aggression the children had learned just by watching. Now, the measurement of learning of aggression uses simulated targets rather than live ones. For example, to test how well bombardiers have learned bombing strategies, you would use simulated targets rather than require them to bomb San Francisco or New York. The model pummeled the doll with a mallet, flung it in the air, kicked it repeatedly, threw it down, and beat it. It was once widely believed that seeing others vent aggression would drain the viewer's aggressive drive. As you can see, exposure to aggressive modeling is hardly cathartic. Exposure to aggressive modeling increased attraction to guns, even though it was never modeled. Guns had less appeal to children who had no exposure to the aggressive modeling. The children also picked up the novel hostile language. The room contained varied play materials, and children could choose to play aggressively or non-aggressively. The children devised new ways of hitting the doll. Now, the object of interest was the novel aggressive acts, not punching the doll. And children in the control group who had no exposure to the aggressive modeling never exhibited the novel forms of aggression. And here's a creative embellishment. A doll becomes a weapon of assault.
Yan, that's Bubudal experiment. This explain how learning, observational learning, and modeling occurs. And let's proceed with his inactive learning. Bandura believes that complex human behavior can be learned when people think about and evaluate the consequence of their behaviors. Inactive learning allows people to acquire the new patterns of complex behavior through direct experience by thinking about and evaluating the consequence of their behavior. Like for example, the person did this and received reinforcement. So if I also do this, I will also receive an reinforcement. That's an active learning. Then let's proceed with his triadic reciprocal causation. Albert Bandura adopts the quiet difference stance. His social cognitive theory explained that psychological functioning in terms of triadic reciprocal causation. These systems assumes that human action is a result of an interaction among three variables, the environment, behavior, and person. According to him, it has three variables na nakakaapekto lagi sa ating behavior. Now, the person factors affect the behavior factors at the same time affect the environment. It goes to the three factors. That is triadic reciprocal. Chance encounters and fortuitous event. Chance encounters as an intended meeting or unintended meeting of persons unfamiliar to each other. When we say chance encounter, it is a person, unfamiliar person meeting unintended. And then fortuitous event is an environment experience that is unexpected or unintended. Pag fortuitous event, it is the environment. Pag chance encounter, it is the person that is unfamiliar or unexpected or unintended. Human agency. And according to Albert Bandura, believes that people are self-regulating, proactive, self-reflective, and self-organizing, and that they have the power influence their own action to produce desired consequence. The core features of human agency, the first one is the intentionality. It is not simply an expectation or prediction of future actions, but a proactive commitment to bring them about. Like for example, uh, mm, it's not simple an expectation or prediction of the future actions. No. Like for example, one of your intention is to be a psychologist. Yan. Meaning to say, yan, that's it's your intention. Forethought. When you say forethought, to anticipate likely outcomes of their action and select behavior that will produce the desired outcome and avoid the undesirable ones. Behavior that produce the desirable or desired outcome. Forethought, like for example, your intention is to be a psychologist. Your forethought is the process or the action like mag-aaral ka ng mabuti to become a psychologist or mag-enroll ka ng masters to become a psychologist. That's the forethought. Self-reactiveness, people not only make choices but they monitor their progress towards fulfilling those choices. Self-reactive, for example, I Since your intention is to be a psychologist, and then you will assess or monitor your actions kung talaga bang aligned to be a psychologist. And the next, self-reflectiveness. People are examiners of their own functioning. They can think about and evaluate their motivations, values, and meaning of their life goals, and they can think about adequacy of their own thinking. Now, like for example, since your intention is to be a psychologist, your forethought is to study hard, and then your self-reactiveness is to monitor if you are studying hard, and then the self-reflectiveness, you will look other person na gusto mong gayahin to be. Like for example, nakita mo ang ating mga professor na mga psychologists, kung ano yung ginawa nila, yun din yung ginagawa mo. That's self-reflectiveness. And then let's proceed with self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, how people act in a particular situation, depends on reciprocity of behavioral, environmental, and cognitive conditions, especially those cognitive factors that relate to their beliefs that can or cannot execute the behavior necessary to produce desired outcomes in any particular situation. We have the context base. We can have the high self-efficacy in certain areas of our life and low in others. Different from outcome, expectation, efficacy refers to the people confidence that they have the ability to perform certain behaviors, whereas an outcome expectancy refers to one's prediction of the likely consequences of that behavior. That is self-efficacy. What contribute to self-efficacy? The first one is master of experience. In general, successful performance raises efficacy expectancies. Failure to failure tends to lower them. Mastery of experience. Uh, you will be mastering your experience or successful performance no nakakataas daw yun na self-efficacy. And then, kung halimbawa, like for example, sa sports, nakatalo sa'yo ay ah, mas mababa, no? Yun sa palagay mo, yes, hindi ka level ng iyong performance, no? Yung self-efficacy is hindi makaka-contribute. That's we call social modeling. Now, our self-efficacy is raised when we observe the accomplishment of another person of equal competence, but it's lower when we see a peer fail. And then sa social modeling, when can see that yung ka-level mo sa sports natalo, nakakababa naman ng self-efficacy. And the next, social persuasion. The efficacy of this or the effect of this source are limited, but under proper condition, persuasion from other can raise or lower self-efficacy. Now, social persuasion, like for example, ah kino-compliment ka ng mga ibang tao, yan nakaka-persuade yun sa'yo na nagawin yun. And vice versa, kung halimbawa mahina ang tingin sa'yo, na nakaka-affect din yun or nakaka-lower din yun ng self-efficacy. Physical and emotional state, strong emotion, orderly, lower performance. When people experience intense fear, acute anxiety, or high level of stress, they are likely to have lower efficacy expectations. Siyempre, very important din ang physical and emotional state. Kailangan nandoon tayo sa okay na physical and emotional state para mas okay din yung ating self-efficacy. Other modes of human agency, proxy agency. Proxy involves indirect control over those social conditions that affect everyday living. No? Like for example, proxy agency, ah alam mong In the Philippines, kilala ang pagtatanim at alam mo wala kang kakayahan sa pagtatanim. That's why ipinakatiwala mo na sa mga farmers na magagaling sa Pilipinas. And then next, collective efficacy, the confidence people have their combined efforts will bring about group accomplishment. A collective efficacy is related in self-efficacy. What is the difference? In collective efficacy, it's group. No, group efficacy. And then self-regulation, when people have high levels of self-efficacy, are confident in their reliance on proxies and possess solid collective efficacy, they will have considerable capacity to regulate their own behavior. And the next, reactive strategy, reactively attempt to reduce the discrepancy between their accomplishment and their goals. No, there is a discrepancy between or nire-reduce mo yung discrepancy between your accomplishment and their goals. Proactive strategy, after they close those discrepancy, they proactive and set new higher goals. No po. Pag proactive strategy is, nagsiset ka ng bagong target, no, to achieve. Since merong discrepancy, edi magiging proactive ka, gagawa ka ng bagong targets and higher goals. And then external factors in self-regulation, environmental factors interacting with personal influence shapes individual standards for evaluation. And then external factors influence self-regulation by providing the means for reinforcement. Internal factors in self-regulation, self-observation. We must be able to monitor our own performance even though the attention we give to it need to be complete or even accurate. And the judgmental process, we must evaluate our actions. Performance contribution, how we judge the cause of our behavior. And then self-reaction, people respond positively or negatively to their behaviors depending on how this behavior measure up to their personal standard. Moral agency, people are naturally good. People also regulate their action through moral standards of conduct. First one is doing no harm to people. Second is proactively helping people. And then people can justify their actions. And then before we proceed with the applications, let's have a brief summary regarding the axiology, epistemology, and ontology. Social cognitive theory, axiology, its theory of values center on the importance of personal agency and self-efficacy. Bandura argues that individuals are not merely passive recipients of environmental influences, but active agents who shape their own destinies. This agency is fueled by self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to successfully perform a behavior. Yan, that is the axiology, the value of agency and self-efficacy. How about the epistemology? The epistemology of social cognitive theory is theory of knowledge. It's based on the combination of observational learning and cognitive process. Bandura argues that individuals learn not only through direct experience, but also by observing the behavior of others, particularly those they perceive as models. This observation, however, is not passive. It is actively filtered through cognitive processes such as attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation. And then the ontology of social cognitive theory, its theory of reality is characterized by triadic reciprocal determinism. This concept posits that behavior is a product of the dynamic interaction between personal factors, environmental influences, and behavioral patterns. These three elements are not independent but rather mutually influence and shape each other. And that's the axiology, epistemology, and ontology of social cognitive theory. Now, let's proceed with the methodology and application and contribution of social cognitive theory. Some dysfunction behavior that can cause is depression, phobia, and aggression. Social cognitive theory. The ultimate goal of social cognitive theory is self-regulation. To achieve this, the therapists introduce strategies designed to induce scientific behavioral changes, to generalize those changes to other situations, and not to maintain those changes by preventing relapses or relapse. And critic of Bandura, the first one is generated research, masyado daw high or mataas. Falsifiability, high. Organization of knowledge, high. Guide action, high. Internal consistency is high. And parsimony is high. Concept of humanity. Human are high, flexible, teleological, and cultural, optimistic, freedom over determinism, conscious over unconscious, biological social factors is false dichotomy due to people's plasticity, uniqueness over similarity. And thank you for listening. That is neo-behaviorism.